Welcome to today's video. Today I want to show you the next steps in propagating hydrangeas. In previous videos I've showed you how to begin the process of propagating hydrangeas by taking your cuttings and placing them in trays and putting them under mist. And then what do you do with them after that? How long do you leave them under the mist? And how do you make them grow once they get out of the mist? What about fertilizing them after they come out of the mist and protecting them once they come out of the mist? I'm going to show you all that and more on today's video. If you're new to my channel, it's good to see you. If you're not, it's good to see you again. But either way, please hit the subscribe button so you'll get all of my video content as it comes out. And I would love to have you as a part of the Savvy Dirt Farmer family. And as previously seen, here's my mist set up and some of the plants that have been under the mist for the last, some of these have been in 2 or 3 weeks, some of them have been in 2 months. But we're going to begin taking these out of the mist today. I'm going to show you what to do with them once you get them out. Now, as you can see, here's a tray of hydrangeas that have been brought out of the mist, and these actually came out of the mist about 2 weeks ago. So they've put on a little bit of growth and they're looking nice. And I would say that this is a tray of 50, and I would say that probably 40 or 45 of them have successfully rooted, and some of them died, and who knows why, and it doesn't matter. But this is what you can expect after you've brought them out of the mist and just kind of hardening off so they're not so tender and not so fragile. And this is where they are now. So let me show you what one of these plugs would look like, what you can expect it to look like as you take it out of the mist and it's beginning to put on new growth. Let me show you what you can expect that to look like. Now, as you can see, here's my tray of limelight hydrangeas. I'm going to pop one of these out of its plug here. And yeah, you can see those roots there really well. Get a good tight shot of that where that is beginning to root. Now, these paniculata hydrangeas like silver dollars and limelights, and there's many others, they typically grow 3 stems immediately. Sometimes they may only grow 1, sometimes they grow 2, but it doesn't really matter. But you can see that that's beginning to root in there really nice. And here you have a nice little plant, and that is ready to do some serious growing and to put on a lot of new growth and really be on its way to becoming a strong plant. So I'm taking these trays out that have successfully propagated of hydrangeas, and I've got some other plants I want to show you too, but basically done the same way. And I'm going to take them out of the mist so they will no longer be constantly damp, and I'm going to take them behind me and put them in my shade house so the harshness of the sun is made a lot more gentle, and so from there they can continue to grow on out. Okay, we've brought a few trays out of the mist, and there's about 600 plants right here in these few trays, and we left some in the mist that just weren't rooted very well yet. And the reason we put these in our shade house is just so the summer sun, it's late July and it's 90 degrees every day, and these little small freshly rooted plants are very tender, and the sun can be really harsh on them and cause them to just shrivel up to nothing. So we've got, I think this is a 60% shade cloth that we're sitting under, and it really helps the temperature to not be quite so high inside here, and also just helps with the direct sunlight to not be so harsh. So they're going to just stay in here through the rest of the growing season, right on into dormancy. And between now and then, there's some work to do with them to keep them growing, because they're just in basically a sterile potting soil mix right now. I showed you the plug mix in the other propagation video that I made, and they're not getting any nutrients, so we need to fertilize these. I'll tell you about the fertilization in just a minute, but before we go that far, let's back up just one step here. And you may look down here and go, wow, all of his plants root and everything looks perfect. And let me just show you a couple of examples that everything just doesn't always work. We've taken most of our plants out of the mist, placed them in the shade house, and a lot of them have done fine, but I want to show you an example here of some that haven't. Look at this. This is a tray of oak leaf hydrangeas, and this particular variety was called Pee-wee. Now, as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just a big weed growing. 4, maybe 5 out of 50 that have successfully propagated here. And the rest of this just looks like a muddy, really that's just kind of gross mess that a not so savvy dirt farmer could certainly produce. And look, I don't know why they died. I don't know why they didn't root. I have no idea. But I know that I have a bunch of others that were successful. And I'm just showing you this to say sometimes they don't work. I have no idea why. I have a hunch that these are just too wet. But they have the same amount of moisture that all the others have. So maybe this particular variety of oak leaf, just for whatever reason, it didn't propagate as well as the others. But I have ruby slipper oak leaf hydrangeas that did very, very well. So who knows what the deal is, but sometimes you just get results like this. So back to the plants that have just come out of the mist. These are all growing or they've all been rooted without nutrients. There's no real source of energy and food for these plants. So these little baby plants have got to receive fertilizer. They'll stay alive without it, but they'll just be very stagnant in their growth, and they'll stay green through the season, but they're just not going to grow. And what good is a green plant if it's not going to grow? Ultimately, it's going to die in time, even if it's not until next season. So when you're dealing with plants in a nursery setup of any kind, you have got to get nutrients to your plants, just like people and animals and every living thing has to have nutrition to grow. Same is true with these little baby plants. Let me show you how I keep these plants fed. Now I want to introduce you to a product, a fertilizer product that, unless you have dealt with plants in a nursery, you are probably not familiar with this product. And it is a water-soluble fertilizer, just simply meaning that it dissolves in water. This product is called, the brand name is Peters. It's also sometimes called Jack's. It's the same company. And this particular fertilizer that I'm using, right here you can see the numbers on the top. It's 10-30-20, and it's kind of sublisted there as a plant starter fertilizer. It's formulated to grow the roots of baby plants. So for plants that are growing in plug trays like the ones that I have, that are freshly rooted young plants that have just come out of the mist, or maybe that you've just bought in and have acquired them some other way, this fertilizer is really, really hard to beat. Now, you have to be careful when you're using water-soluble fertilizer, because the temptation is to say, oh, well, I'll just go to Walmart and buy some Miracle Grow. Listen, don't go cheap on your fertilizer. This stuff's not cheap. This bag's 40 or 50 bucks. And if there are certain things in your nursery that you can go cheap on, that you can figure out DIY things to rig things up, you've seen me doing that out here with plenty of things. Your fertilizer is not one of those things. Just understand, the higher quality nutrition that you're giving to your plants, the higher quality your plants are going to grow. Just like if you're feeding a dog or a horse or a baby or anything else, nutrition for plants is critical, which is why I use this fertilizer. And I mentioned not going cheap on your fertilizer. Look, this fertilizer is really not that expensive. And the reason for it is because it goes a very, very long way. I don't even go through one bag of this a season. So just understand, if your nursery is as small as mine, and you don't have massive fertilization needs, then a bag of this might last you 2, 3, 4 seasons or more. So in the grand scheme of things, it's really not a big purchase at all. Now, this fertilizer is about the texture of something like brown sugar. And some of these fertilizers are a bright blue color. This particular one's kind of a whitish gray. Don't worry about that at all. And this is a 2-gallon watering can. I grabbed this down at Lowe's, had it for a long time. And I use two heaping tablespoons per watering can, and then you just fill it up and water the plants. And you just soak all these plants, and I mean soak them. This is a fertilizer that's excellent as a just drenching the plants. The actual foliage is fine to drench. It works great. Mostly what you're looking at here is hydrangeas, but I also have a tray here of green giant arborvitaes. Hey, that's me, green giant and hydrangea guy, right? And you just come and just soak all of these things. And being under the shade like this will just need to be done about every other day. And you just need to make sure that everything is completely soaked. You're not going to overdo it. Just get them all completely soaked. And you are not likely to find this fertilizer in your area. You might if you have a good nursery supply place, possibly in a feed store somewhere. So I'm going to include links right below this to this fertilizer and a smaller container of it that'll be called Jack's, but it's the same thing. And as long as it is a plant starter, it's going to do just fine for you. So I will continue that fertilization process on these plants probably every other day. And if we get rain, then I just won't do it that day, and it's fine. You're not going to hurt your plants by missing a day of fertilization, and they just don't need watering every single day anyway. So you got your fertilizer mixed with your water, and you're going to just continue doing this all the way through the season until you get frost and they go dormant for the season. And these plants are going to stay sitting right here until next spring. And next spring, probably March or April, or whenever I have time to pot them up, then I will pot them up and they will grow. And some of these, particularly the silver dollars and limelight, some of these may be ready to sell by next season. I'm not sure if we can get them there that quick, but we'll give it a shot. But consistent fertilization is the key to getting them there. I hope this video has been helpful to you in some way. If you liked it, hit the like button and subscribe. That would be awesome. And also, here's a couple other videos that'll help you understand about the shade and about propagating hydrangeas and many other kinds of plants under mist. I love all of you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.